550 KTRS. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning.
How'd you get to work today?
I took the Metrolink here.
Metrolink, even in the rain?
Even in the rain.
And you walked here?
And I walked here. I have a very big umbrella, protects me.
Wow. Do you have a tip for that umbrella, or did you buy it with your own money?
I wish I were getting refunded for that somehow.
All right. We want to talk about fuel tax.
Yes. So in the Senate,
Yes.
Missouri State Senate,
Yes.
not the federal Senate, they passed a fuel tax increase, a 5.9-cent fuel tax increase, which would go on top of our current 17-cent fuel tax. And that would have to go before the House. And because of the amount of money it would raise, it would also have to be voted on by everybody. So everybody would have to agree on this. It would have to get a majority vote among Missourians sometime in the fall.
Okay. Good or bad?
Well, you know, I've heard a lot out of MoDOT about their ongoing crisis and about how they really need the money. And, of course, we were all here in 2014 when they tried to do the transportation sales tax. Mm-hmm. And I think that if you're going to raise money for MoDOT, it ought to be targeted at people who are actually benefiting from the highway system. And a sales tax doesn't seem to fit the bill there, but a fuel tax that charges people who use the roads and in proportion to how much they use it. So that's definitely a better thing.
So I go to the store and I buy meat, and it has a sales tax. I used a card to go to the store, so isn't a sales tax also kind of a user tax?
Well, if the tax that you were paying with the car was actually sort of how much you drove, was commensurate to the amount of road you used, then why would you have to pay more for the meat? That wouldn't really be something that you would want to do. I think that if you can say, hey, you've driven this much, and we've got sort of a way of measuring how much you've driven, which I guess is fuel consumption in this case.
Right.
You could say, we're going to charge you that much per mile.
Right.
And therefore you pay that much for driving that much, which makes some sense. It's not perfect, but it's definitely better than something just like a broad sales
What
tax.
about you, though? You use the Metrolink, but yet you benefit from the roads. You're not paying anything for those roads.
Well, you say I'm not paying anything for those roads, but in a lot of ways I am, because all prices, if you just depend on markets, if you price things based on what people actually are demanding, then, you know, when I buy a good or a service from someone, they're pricing in the cost of their transportation, if they used a road to use it, to give me the product. So I'm actually paying indirectly for that. And also when I borrow my fiance's car, I'll pay for fuel. So I'll get some of that fuel tax.
All right, fair enough. And that's, so you like that better than sales tax, but you would love to see a toll road. That's your ultimate goal, or that's your ultimate.
There's a couple problems with the fuel tax. The first is that it's a declining source of revenue. Cars are getting more and more fuel efficient all the time. So over the long run, I mean, and that's kind of the way we want to go anyway, is less pollution. When cars burn less and less fuel, if you're basing all of your revenue off of the fuel tax, you're going to have problems eventually.
Right.
Now, in the last couple of years, fuel consumption's been going up because the economy got better. But in the long run, with fuel efficiency going up, that's really going to be a problem. And also, it's not perfect, right? I mean, if I use a road, I pay a fuel tax, but you know where that money gets spent maybe isn't on my road. It might be on I-70, it might be on I-44, or something that I'm not using. But with a toll road, you're paying exactly for what you're getting, and it creates a good revenue stream for rebuilding something as big as I-70, which frankly, even with this fuel tax increase, it's only going to be a little bit over $100 million a year in new revenue. There's no way you rebuild I-70 with that much revenue. There needs to be either a much larger increase in taxes or you're going to need to toll.
What about the muni reform bill? What are your thoughts on that, as that's now been sort of kicked about?
This one has me really depressed, actually. You know, last year they didn't do very much after all those events in Ferguson to do any sort of reform. But this was a bill that had bipartisan support, went through, and all it said was, you know, you have to not use your police as tax collectors. We're going to cap how much you can take in as a percentage of general revenue from fines and fees. And it's not like you had to stop writing tickets after that. The tickets would just go to the state, which would then spend them on schools. So it's not like there was a law enforcement problem. If there was really lots of people speeding or breaking the law, you could still write tickets. There just wasn't a financial incentive for it anymore.
Right.
And they also required...
That's a really good point.
Yeah. And they also required reporting. Basically, the old law that they had, which also capped revenue, was just being ignored for the most part because they never had to report any of the problems to the state. They never had to report what was actually going on. There was no teeth. And this bill actually had teeth. It actually had very low limits. And, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't say whether the legal reasoning was right or wrong, but it's really depressing that any of this got struck down. And I think it's also depressing that there were politicians and civic leaders in North St. Louis County who decided they wanted to go after this bill and take it down.
who are using the taxpayers' money to fight this bill.
That's right.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens as it goes up through the courts. Joe Miller, Show Me Institute, policy analyst. When can we read you? When can we see you?
You can read everything we write on this at showmeinstitute.org.
Have a good day. 8:45. Denny Hassert, remember him?